subscribe. In today's storytime episode, I have 7 kind of short stories to tell you. All of them are unexplained experiences or paranormal experiences from people on Reddit. So I would like to thank everyone for them. So without further ado, let's begin. The first story. The cameras at my work are programmed to flick to areas of motion when they are inactive. One night at like 3 a.m. when I was alone for a 4-block radius, all of them flicked to the door right outside my office. There are 190 separate camera feeds. The second story. So I used to work in a small grocery store, so we didn't have a specific job we did, for instance like being a cashier. But all of us did what was needed. If you didn't feel like you wanted to deal with customers, you could just do inventory or stock shelves. It was a nice job. First, I noticed something weird when I was doing the evening shift before closing. My coworker was with me. It was a slow evening, and he was taking a break downstairs. So I was checking the best before dates from products near the cash register. I was kinda in the front of the doors of the shop. I was completely alone, and suddenly I heard the heavy metal door that led to the break room being shut close. I just thought, well, my coworker is coming back up. Nothing unusual. I didn't even bother to turn around until my coworker runs to me and asks if I went downstairs a minute ago. I said no, I've been here the whole time and I'm the only one here. He asks if I'm sure. I say I'm completely sure, and I see him freaking out a bit. And he is not a man who freaks out easily. For example, we had a theft, and he ran after the thief until he gave him back what he stole. So he starts checking the whole store, which is really not big, and no one is found. Okay, so we still call our boss in case it is a robbery or something, and he comes by. We watch the security tape and we see the heavy metal door slightly opening and then suddenly closing, but no one is near it. After this incident, my coworker says he heard the footsteps after closing, but never found anyone. Another evening shift, I'm the cashier again, and I'm working with my other coworker. He is checking the freezer in the back, so I'm alone in the store. This old lady comes in and I greet her from the cash register. She doesn't answer, whatever, people often don't. I'm bored, so I decide to follow her through the security monitor. She just walks around and goes to a blind spot, so I don't see her through the cameras, but she never comes out. I'm thinking, what the hell, pretty sure this place is haunted by now. I go to that aisle and there's no one there. My coworker comes to let me go home and asks if the store is empty. I tell him what happened and he just shrugs, saying he has seen the old lady and he doesn't get it either. The third story. Western Oklahoma. I was at my grandparents' house. I was 6 years old. My older sister and I convinced our grandpa to let us sleep on the porch. He had a border collie dog that was fiercely protective of us. Anyway, sometime in the middle of the night, my sister wakes me up. There was a shed about 50 feet away, and floating next to it was a ball of light. It had a diameter of about 4 to 6 feet. It made absolutely no sound, and it was not moving at all. I was scared, but my sister thought it would be a good idea to walk towards it to see what it was. She got about halfway and it shot off at about 90 degrees into the sky without making any noise. I never did figure out what it was. And no, the dog did nothing except kind of hide. That's kind of funny. The fourth story. My grandmother got a call from her son. He was telling her how much he loved her and that he would be going away. The phone was cutting in and out. This was before cell phones. My grandmother thought this was weird and it definitely out of his character. This was happening at 10 a.m. Right when she hung up the phone, 2 police officers showed up at her door. They told her that they are sorry to tell her that her son died in a motorcycle accident at 8 a.m. that morning. My grandmother said that it is impossible that she just got off the phone with him. The fifth story. Somewhere during the mid-90s, when I was still in elementary school, my mother and I were sorting through old junk in the attic. We were sitting side by side in a closet that contained these removable panels that allowed access to the attic space on either side of the closet. We had dusty old junk all around us. It was the middle of the day and we were the only 2 people in the house. Neither of us were speaking much as we were too focused on all the things we were discovering. Out of nowhere, I clearly heard what sounded like a small child's pleading voice exclaim, "Mommy!" I was immediately terrified. I was frozen in place for what seemed like an hour, but was probably only a minute. My mother looked me in the eye and asked, "Did you hear it too?" I said yes. We never spoke of it again. The sixth story. The night my grandma died unexpectedly, I woke up in the middle of the night with tears streaming down my face. I had just dreamed she was walking into her house in heaven, and she looked so happy and healthy and gave me a wave. The next morning I got a phone call that she had passed away, and whilst I was devastated, I wasn't surprised at all. The seventh story. My boyfriend was born in Russia, and he told me that when he was around 9, he went backpacking in the woods with his grandfather. His grandfather used to be in the military and has seen a lot of things in his lifetime and was not fazed by much. In the forest, there are some empty cabin-type buildings that hikers could stay overnight. There's no supervision, it's just a temporary shelter. One night, my boyfriend and his grandpa were getting ready to sleep in a cabin when the door knocked. His grandpa asked who it was, and a man replied asking to be let in because it's cold outside. His grandpa didn't reply and stood still. My boyfriend, confused by the silence, asked his grandpa why he wasn't moving or opening the door. Knocks were heard on the door again, and the man was asking repeatedly to come in. This persisted for a good minute until my boyfriend asked his grandpa again why wasn't he letting the man in. His grandpa told my boyfriend, "Look at the bottom of the door." And that's when my boyfriend noticed it. There was a gap at the bottom of the door. The moonlight was shining. Knocking could be heard, but there was no silhouette of a person standing on the other side. My boyfriend was so utterly spooked out that he hid under the blankets for the rest of the night. He told me the knocking eventually stopped. To this day, he has no explanation for what happened, but he tells me that this is the creepiest experience he had. Yeah, I mean, that actually got me the chills. But yeah, that's all I have for you tonight. This episode is, I think, number 21 from season 1. I think season 1 will end with episode 22. So I'm trying to prepare a surprise for episode 22. Then we will start season 2, and I want to hear your feedback on whether should continue these stories or whether I should try a different kind of story time episode kind of thing. I will ask you the same question in my next one when I will post episode 22, but I really want to hear your feedback on this. I wish you a very good day or night, and I'll see you in my next one.